Hello everyone, welcome to part 3 on my series about the Life Path 9. Today we're going to be covering the 27/9. Now there's 3 ways to be a 27. You can be born on the 27th, your birthday can add to 27 like this one, June 1st, 1973, 6 plus 1 plus 1 plus 9 plus 7 plus 3 equals 27. Or your first or full name can equal 27 using the cipher above. And if you haven't already, be sure to watch my first 2 parts on the Life Path 9. Now, just like my 36/9, this video is going to be a little long, and that's because I'm cramming in a lot of information. So make sure you stick around so you can learn everything you can about the 27/9. To start, let's look at what 27 is made of. It's made of 2, which is intuition, and 7, which is thought. So the way you would read it is intuition and thought facilitate everything. This aspect, in my opinion, makes 27 one of the most powerful versions of 9. This is because everything starts with consciousness and thought. It doesn't matter what the task is, it doesn't matter what was said, everything starts from the mind before it goes anywhere. And 2 and 7 are the water numbers which represent the mind. They are the only numbers that have connections to the mind. Because of this, the 27/9 mostly lives on the mental plane. This is why 27 is typically the smartest version of 9. They have deep thoughts, strong intuition, very empathetic, and they're very sensitive to the environment around them. Having both mental numbers there can make 27 live in their head too much, and it can result in neglect of their body. It can result in neglect of other physical things around them. It can also have them be inside of their head entirely too much to the point where they're not really able to get stuff done on the physical world. This is why when the humanitarian aspect of 9 is used through 27, the 27 is typically helping you come up with ideas, or they're helping through conversation. They don't typically do a lot of physical work like a 45/9 would do, or even a pure 9. They're kind of there to just facilitate your thoughts and move them in the correct direction. With 2 at the forefront for consciousness and 7 is the anchor for intelligence, the 27 is ridiculously smart. The 27 is a very deep thinker, but at first glance it might not seem this way. 2 and 7 are both water, but 2 represents the surface of the water, because when I look inside the water, I see my reflection. That's the 2, but the 7 is the bottom of the ocean. This is why you'll typically see the surface of 27 before you ever see the deep things that they keep inside, because 7 is the number of secrets, and it's that deep, deep number, so they don't really want to divulge what they're thinking. This is why 27 is typically geared towards having a private life. And unless they have a very prominent 3 in their makeup, they'll typically like to keep it this way. 2 and 7 are both teacher numbers. So typically this version of 9 will usually pick up a career in teaching, or at least some kind of career that involves teaching. 2 and 7 are the most spiritually inclined numbers. So typically 27s will have a strong urge to get into religion or any type of spirituality. An example of the Life Path 27 is Gandhi. 27 being the most mentally plane 9 allows them to have very vivid dreams and to be very visionary up inside of their imagination. I urge all 27s to practice visualization because it's very often that your dreams do come true. This can be detrimental sometimes because when a 27 gets inside of a negative thought loop, which can happen because of those mental numbers, they can tend to manifest really negative things in their life. 2 and 7 being water numbers have a tendency to mold to their environment. So it's very important that they have a good environment, because if it's a bad one, they're going to adapt. They're going to squeeze in just like water takes shape of whatever it's in, and they're going to become that bad environment. 27 can look back and notice that all the pain that they have is due to being in the incorrect environment. 2 and 7 are the most sensitive numbers, so it's not uncommon for the 27 to have their feelings hurt by others' words, but it is also not uncommon for them to do the same thing. When 27 activates the fire aspect of 9, they're huge hotheads. 9 is a warrior number through and through, but the 27 is a mental warrior. So whenever they get in an imbalanced state where they need to go to battle, they do it mentally against the people around them. The perfectly balanced 27 has a great grasp on how to keep people connected to them, but also maintaining space so they can have their own alone time so they can study and think. Learning is very important for the 27, especially when it concerns themselves. They can get into psychology, psychiatry, forms of divination like numerology and astrology, and generally they will use everything in their environment to help them learn about themselves. They're very perceptive and understand a lot about themselves and the people around them, but because of that 7 aspect, it leads them to being misunderstood by a lot of people. 27s are typically black sheep. They're chronically seen as aliens because of a different way of thinking. This is especially true within their family. The 27 will typically have different ideas and ideals from the people around them. But because of the 2 in front of 7, they will feel like they need to conform because they're very afraid of being on the outside of anything. They really want to feel connected with others, so they'll often suppress this weird side of themselves that really isn't that weird, but it's just not accepted typically by society or the people around them. This can cause a lot of 27s to not be their authentic self. In the past, when 27 has expressed what they found interesting or what they thought was cool, it's been shut down by people around them. So some 27s will sometimes go their whole life never being themselves because they've just had it suppressed their whole life. I urge any 27s who are in this current predicament to please start expressing yourself. Start telling people what you feel. Tell people about that weird subject that you learned about. Tell people about that weird thing that you figured out that you can do. Please just divulge all the things that you think people might not find interesting, but are very interesting to you. It's important. And you'll find that the people that really love you will understand and they'll think it's really cool too. Tips for 27. You need to do more acting, less thinking. Don't suppress yourself just because others might think you're weird. If you have a feeling inside of you, don't be afraid to say it. And keep learning and trying to understand yourself. Now, if you made it this far, comment which version of 9 you are, and maybe I'll cover it in the next video. And if you want a personalized reading from me, I do written ones and I do on the phone ones. Please DM me for prices. They are not free. And if you enjoy my numerology content, follow, like, share. Peace.